Well, Asian markets have been rallying after President Trump said he's delaying a tariff hike on Chinese imports. On Twitter, the president said both sides have made, quote, substantial progress in trade talks. The world's two biggest economies have been locked in a trade dispute for months, with the U.S. accusing Beijing of intellectual property theft and of limiting American access to its markets. The new tariff increase was set to come into force on March the 1st. Well, speaking shortly after his Twitter announcement, the president said he was looking forward to reaching a trade deal with China.
We just left a big meeting with China, and we just put out a statement. We're doing very well with China. It was a long weekend. They decided to stay for 2.5 more days. They'll probably be leaving late tonight. They're going back. And if all works well, we're going to have some very big news over the next week or two. And it's really been terrific. I tell you, that whole relationship has been outstanding. We put ourselves into a position of strength for the first time in about 35 years, or probably a lot more than that. But China has been terrific. We want to make a deal that's great for both countries, and that's really what we're going to be doing.
Okay, joining us now in the studio is Clifford Coonan. He spent 15 years in China. He joins us from DW Business. Good morning, Clifford.
Good morning.
Could we be seeing soon a new trade deal between the world's two biggest economies? Do we have any timeline for this?
We don't have a timeline as such, but I think things are looking very positive because I think both sides need a big political win, so they're very keen for it to happen. Whatever about the substance of the deal, of course, that's going to be the big question. So I think they're going to make it happen. They're going to try and make it happen around the timeline, perhaps, of the Mar-a-Lago meeting with Xi Jinping traveling again to Trump's home base there.
Yeah.
So I think it'll probably be built around that.
Okay, do we have any? You said there could be some key pieces to this that we're still waiting to find out about. Any inklings of what they may be?
Well, I think they will. What you'll do is China will be forced to buy agricultural products, soybeans, for example, things that will affect U.S. farmers, which are also good for the headlines and the political capital. I think on key areas they're still very far apart. Basically, Donald Trump wants China to behave like a regular market economy, but China isn't a regular market economy. So there's always
still a communist command economy, isn't it?
Basically, yeah, and obviously with Chinese characteristics, as they say, but it's still very much acts on its own terms.
Okay, important for America as well is protection of intellectual property. That's everything from Disney to books to films. Will we see any progress there?
I think we will see some cosmetic advances, but a lot of it is how American companies, for example, have to act in in Chinese courts, which are still tend to favour Chinese firms. So I think that there's going to be a few areas where it'll be very difficult to find agreement.
Okay, so these discussions are actually touching on Chinese law and how court procedures are conducted. That certainly is far-reaching in terms of what negotiators are up against.
Yeah.
How do these talks fit in with Huawei and the 5G technology and what the future holds? Could there be some agreement in something that has connections to state security and issues like that?
Yeah, Huawei has been pretty central to this. I think he said that he will revisit the case of Meng Wanzhou, the CFO of Huawei, who's in Canada awaiting possible extradition to the US. So obviously, and this is a big bugbear between the two countries. So I have a funny feeling that he will possibly try and politicize that, which obviously has ramifications for the rule of law. But it's Huawei and the security concerns there. A lot of people are worried that it could compromise U.S. security. But it could be that there's a softer approach now to Huawei, which would be interesting in itself.
Briefly, if you could, how these talks fit in with the North Korean summit that's coming up in a few days?
Well, I think there's a big political element to this, and if he scores what looks like a win on the trade talks, it would dovetail very nicely with a win with Kim Jong-un in Hanoi. So I think they're very linked in terms of how the big picture looks.
Okay, Clifford, thanks so much for that. Clifford Coonan from the Business Desk.